Whoa! Here we are in our first episode of COVideos.
Yes.
A little project that came literally on the spur of the moment. What is our goal here with COVideos?
Well, our goal, I guess, is to re-educate ourselves cinematically.
You make it sound so fun and spontaneous.
I know.
When do we get our grades?
Yes. Well, I guess it kind of came about, like, I have a list of movies that I haven't seen. Mm-hmm. So we literally started at the beginning of the list and are going to work our way down.
Without organizing the list in any way.
Nope.
Literally just, I mean, your list was built merely out of having a thing in your pocket, you know, on your phone.
Yep.
And then whenever you hear a movie and you're like, oh, yeah, I've seen that movie. And then you just write that down.
Yes.
And so God knows what's on that list.
There are a lot of random ones.
Yeah.
There are like maybe 2 or 3 Studio Ghibli films that I haven't seen yet. But that's kind of rare.
Great. Can't wait for those. Lose that part of the list.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, it's really random.
And
it's like the randomizer of movies.
Yeah, and it could break, you know, from Duck Soup to Taxi Driver. It could just go
right.
You have to put a collar on your neck because of that whiplash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe there are a couple of depressing ones in a row too. I don't know.
Oh boy.
Which could also be rough.
Yeah, maybe we can give ourselves permission to move the list around a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see.
And I don't really have a list so much. So that's your list. Your list is gotta see movies that you haven't seen to continue your filmic education.
Exactly.
And mine has been more of just, I haven't seen that in a while. Or, yeah, maybe there's something that I haven't seen. Like something that's going to appear on here one day is because we were watching a movie with Catherine Ross. I'm just free associating to, I've never seen Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Ooh.
So that will be on this one day for sure. But I'm just letting myself sort of filmically free associate from
there's nothing wrong with
property to property. Yeah. And just sort of move on that way.
Yes. I actually have seen that. I saw it for my film studies class in high school, actually. So you're giving me this look like I want to punch you in the neck right now.
You had a throat. You had a film studies class in high school.
Yes, I did.
I had a unit in my AP English class where we watched like 3 films.
Oh, what did you watch? Do you remember?
Good question. Let's see if I can do this. You know what? I don't remember.
It's okay.
I remember that we watched.
I remember all of the ones that we watched.
Well, I know that we watched Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet, but I think that was for our Shakespeare.
I have not seen that. I need to put that on my list. See?
It's okay. It's all right. But it might have been for our Shakespeare unit in that class.
Okay, sure.
The only movie that I actually remember watching was The Player. Robert Altman's.
I have not
The
seen
Player.
that.
Well, it's on your list.
Oh, I guess I should put it on my list now.
Which is a weird choice to make high school kids watch, but it is, at the time it was contemporary. It had just, come out on VHS at that point, which places me in the spectrum of birth of the universe, death of the universe. Now you know where I am.
Yes.
And it's a movie, it's a sort of a meta commentary about Hollywood.
Oh boy.
From the mind of a man who never, ever wanted to, or really ever was part of the Hollywood establishment. So you'd think, like, how can that guy make an interesting satire of Hollywood? And yet he does. And it's a murder mystery that is, I shouldn't give it all away now. I'll probably watch it for the show. But evokes 40s and 50s classic noir Hollywood films.
Sure.
Like...
Maltese Falcon.
Kiss Me Deadly or Maltese Falcon, Double Indemnity, yeah, that sort of thing.
Sure.
It makes Tim Robbins, he goes through the whole cycle of emotions.
Okay.
From good to bad.
All right. Yeah, I could totally see that.
Underrated or just rated fine?
You're asking me?
Yeah, Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins? Oh God, I don't feel like I'm confident enough that I am as familiar with his work to really.
How many Tim
judge.
Robbins movies on your list?
I don't know if I have any. I just added the player, so that's on my list now.
You can't tell us what's on the list.
Oh, okay.
The list has to be a mystery. It has to be.
Okay.
This is
the
worst.
Box.
This is the absolute worst example, but it's all I can think of right now. Remember in the first season of Arrow, where Oliver Queen, comes back to Star City or whatever, and he has a list of people that he needs to eliminate
to cross off
to save Star City.
Yeah.
And we don't know who's on the list. And frankly, there is no list. It's just whoever the writers come up with for him to attack.
Who's
next.
the bad guy this week?
Right, but the list is important. I was going to say it's life, but that's a different film. The list is death in this case. So keep your. I know there is a list, but keep it vague.
Oh,
so we don't know what's coming.
All right, I will shroud it in mystery and put a veil over it.
And I promise to continue to just completely, like in the last 10 minutes of whatever movie we're watching that was my pick, I guess, I'll just start thinking, all right, what are connections to another movie that we can then flip to?
So I'm going to have an actual list, and yours is just going to be in your head.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess that's just
Doesn't that define our particular styles, though?
Yeah.
You're a list maker and a planner, and I'm what's this? Let's do that.
Yes. I mean, there are a couple of films that you've mentioned just in the last couple of days, which should be on your list, but,
Well, maybe we'll get back to them.
Okay.
And maybe we won't.
I will zip that up as well.
And it's all
zip.
It's all in the service of getting a little extratainment. I just branded extratainment, so you're welcome, TM. You're not going to beat me to the patent office on that, but no, a little extra entertainment for people out there who, of course, are hopefully sheltering at home, looking for things to do. On our main show, Just Enough Trope, which I encourage you to check out at justenoughtrope.com if you haven't. We talked about how, I don't know what people are talking about all this free time. Like, I work from home anyway, and so I'm working all the time, even when I'm not, like, outside of working hours. If I'm like, no, I got to do this, then I get up and do it. And so it's not like I don't feel like I have a lot of free time, but I'm in a period right now where a lot of that work has been completed, and so I actually do have a lot of free time. And now I kind of understand how people feel. Like, I'm starting to look at that pile of puzzles over there, and I'm like, I could do a puzzle. So this is my puzzle.
Okay.
And I'm going to make content instead of just making a puzzle, which you just take apart.
Okay. Sounds good.
And I'm too much of a cheapskate to buy Resident Evil 3 digitally.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The plan was to go in and just pay for it with trade-ins.
Oh, I see.
But now I got to drop $65 on the barrelhead to get the digital copy of Resident Evil 3 Remake.
Right, and they're not doing trade-ins.
So guess what you're getting instead?
Yeah.
COVideos, baby! A title we spent 10 seconds on. Tops. And most of those seconds were, is this insensitive? I think this is fine.
I think it's fine.
So that's where we are.
Yes.
Well, talk about your first pick. What did we watch? What was the first thing on your list?
The very first thing on my list was The Karate Kid.
The Karate Kid.
Yes.
2 hours and 7 minutes. Longer than you'd think you could karate with a kid.
Yes.
But very well accepted. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes is skewed because, 60% of the reviews are just dudes in their basement saying, boy, I sure love The Karate Kid because I saw it when I was 4.
Right.
But it's 88% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's pretty high. Yeah.
Totally high. It's directed by John Avildsen.
What else has he done?
Nothing you'd know. Rocky 5. Lean on Me. Did Lean on Me.
Oh.
Sorry, no, he did the first Rocky. That's right, he did do the first Rocky.
Okay.
And got an Academy Award for that.
All right, sure.
Yeah, and starring Ralph Macchio, Pat Morita, Elizabeth Shue.
Yes.
And nobody ever mentions Randy Heller, but she's really great too. She's on Soap.
The mom?
And I feel like she's played a lot of mom characters. She was like
she was a great mom.
Yeah, she wasn't even that old in Karate Kid.
No.
She's probably in her mid-30s.
Yeah.
But she played I don't know, she was Rizzo on Broadway and
I could see that.
some other stuff. Oh, and I should mention she was Ida Blankenship in Mad Men.
Oh, remind me who Ida was.
Oh, who's that? Remember when Don was like really going off the rails and he was getting in trouble?
Gosh, that's so much of the time.
I think this was after Megan, right? He bedded and married Megan.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, Don, we got to put a leash on you. And so they gave him like a really old secretary. He was like, you got an appointment at 4 p.m.
Right.
I'm taking my break.
That was her?
Yeah. That's her.
Okay. Nice. All right. I didn't realize she was that old now, but I guess, the 80s were a while ago. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very cool.
Yeah. So, The Karate Kid. How did you miss The Karate Kid?
I don't know. I mean, okay, this is going to be my answer for maybe a fair amount of these that, came out in the 80s.
Coma?
No.
Oh.
I was born in the early 80s.
Dry throat, not COVID.
Yeah.
Just coughing.
Yeah, I was born in the early 80s, and I was the oldest kid. So I think I missed out on a lot of movies, I think, because of that.
Yeah.
If my folks didn't think, oh, she might really like this, and I didn't necessarily explicitly ask to go see something, I might have, just completely missed out on seeing it. And when did this come out again?
84.
84, yeah. I was really, really, really little then. So,
right. But I also know that your family is early adopters of a lot of technology. You guys probably had a beta. You were probably too young to see your dad throw his Betamax out because it lost
I don't
the
remember
format war.
like that. Yeah.
But I know that you have a basement just chock-a-block with VHS tapes. So I'm surprised that The Karate Kid didn't land somewhere in there.
Well, we didn't finish the basement until I was in high school.
This is a lot of information.
I know.
Perhaps the wrong information.
Okay. Yeah, we had a lot of Disney movies and stuff like that, and it's not like I was explicitly into martial arts or anything like that. So I think it's fairly understandable that I missed this one. However, I mean, I did have friends that were into movies and had older siblings. So in that respect, I don't know how I missed it,
Yeah.
Probably some sleepover or something. Why didn't I see
Well, I would just
Kid?
assume I suppose. I mean, Daniel LaRusso, played by Ralph Macchio, is a good-looking little guy there.
Yeah, he is.
So maybe girls would want to see it, but it does seem like a Karate Kid movie would not necessarily fall within the quadrant of the 10-year-old girl going to a sleepover.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's why I missed it. That's what I'm going with. Also, I was when we went to the video store, I was completely obsessed with Disney's Robin Hood, and for years I just rented that every single time.
I don't want to hear it. That's too bad.
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay, so Daniel-san, a Karate Kid.
Yeah.
He moves from New Jersey. Yay, I'm moving here. And he moves to California, Reseda in the Valley, and he's a fish out of water.
Yeah.
And he starts at a new school. Mm-hmm. But this school, a lot of blonde bullies in this school.
There are.
A lot of problems.
Yeah.
And he meets a cute little girl played by Elizabeth Shue.
Yes.
And things are going well, but these bullies keep getting in the way.
Yeah.
Breaking consumer electronics at beach parties. No good.
Yeah. Cobra Kai is bad news.
Yeah. And it isn't until Daniel meets the handyman at the apartment complex that he lives in, which they were moving to California. And I don't know, Daniel is a good kid, but he is a self-conscious kid. And so he, like a lot of kids who are self-conscious, has learned to lie with incredible facility. And so I never got if he was lying about his mom's job in computers or what. But they move all the way out to California, and she don't have no computer job. She's working at the Orient Express restaurant.
Oh, was she working there?
Yeah, wasn't she?
I couldn't tell.
Because she got him a shift meal. He was having a little steak frites.
Is that what was happening?
Yeah, and she's trying to get him on to work there. As a busboy or something like that.
Oh, I didn't get that. I couldn't figure it out, and I was like, she said something about I'm making more than I could ever make, with computers.
Right.
So
that fad.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, why do you have to move all the way out to California because you got a job at a restaurant?
Yeah, they're not in Silicon Valley. It's a different valley.
It doesn't make it. Okay, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But okay. Well, and the pool is crappy at their apartment.
Well, you blame Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, right.
Maybe this guy's not the best handyman. Your trees look great.
Right.
It's time to work on that pool.
Right. your chopstick skills through the roof. But
it is winter, though, isn't it? Because he moves there. The big tournament is on like December 17th. Close to Christmas. Was that hard?
Yeah.
And he gets, we assume that he's moving so he can matriculate in a timely manner and not miss a lot of school, right? So it's probably like moving there in the fall. A couple months go by. He waxes on, he waxes off, and he's ready for the karate tournament.
No, I think you're right because...
people in California, I mean, I can see them swimming less. You probably still take advantage if it's a warm winter's day, but you're going to swim less.
I guess I see what you're saying. I mean, they do play Cruel Summer, at the very beginning of school. So
I think
you
this
get the idea that this is school starting.
I think this was the debut of Cruel Summer by Bananarama. This is before it was on an album or something like that. I'm sure it was on the radio, but... So, Mr. Miyagi is not all that he seems. He's not just, he is an eccentric handyman for a crappy apartment building in Reseda, California.
Yes.
But he also has a lot of depth and a lot of classic cars.
Yes.
Did we ever find out
who doesn't drive?
What he did when he came back from the war? Maybe he worked in software or something. But he has a lot of money because he's got.
Never figured that out.
Well, maybe that oil derrick we see in the background of his living on,
right?
Because he lives like in a junkyard
house.
Or like by a junkyard.
Yeah.
So maybe that oil derrick's really paying off or something. But got some nice cars. He's got a Zen garden in the back.
Yeah, Daniel-san asked him about it, and he's like, "Not everything is as it seems."
Yeah,
so
I guess.
So do you not have the oil rig? Like, do you just live there? Do you get the land for cheap? What? Yeah. What is the deal? Why do you have so many classic cars?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling we don't know what he did, but he must have done okay for himself and just wants to keep busy, and that's why he works at the
sold the burger joint. That's what it was.
Oh.
No, don't owe. No, it's a Happy Days joke.
Oh, that's right.
Anyway.
I totally bought into it. I'm too gullible.
Well, you never know what we're doing unless I say, "What'd you think of the movie?" That opens the floodgates or the sluice gates. I've learned a lot about sluice gates playing Resident Evil games recently.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the movie?
I liked it. I had some knowledge of what it was going to be like, but before watching it. I had heard that Mr. Miyagi had him do several tasks, and then he was basically teaching him karate through those tasks.
Yeah.
So I had heard that before actually seeing it. But I wasn't sure what it was going to be like, and I didn't know that, this is the first person he's ever taught how to do karate and that sort of thing. And so basically that's what I knew about the movie is Mr. Miyagi teaches him moves while he does chores.
Yeah, that's
all I knew.
Culturally, osmotically, yeah.
Yeah. But I thought it was really good. I like that Daniel had this thing for Allie, but these guys are such bullies. They were just freaking terrible, and the Cobra Kai karate guys. And their sensei, ooh man, you just hate them.
Yeah.
They're just just completely rude and no redeeming qualities, and even at the end, you just don't like them. And Daniel's a good kid, and he's just having a real rough time. But I think his relationship with Mr. Miyagi is really cool. He even says to him at one time, "You're the best friend I've ever had," which I think is really, really sweet. And Mr. Miyagi's like, "Yeah, you were pretty okay." I really, Mr. Miyagi's story, what you hear about his wife and his kid.
Yeah,
it's really sad. And
I don't. I wasn't old enough to really get a sense of this in the 80s. That the Japanese were basically just the bad guys
of World War II.
Yeah, but the bad guys of the economic sphere. So,
sure.
Movies like Gung Ho, or well, that might have been China, or no, Gung Ho, that was Japanese.
I haven't seen
or Black Rain or something like that. It's all these Japanese, they're buying up all the land. They're buying up all the land in California. They're going to own us all.
Okay.
That was the thing. And so for a movie in 1984 to this is a fun high school kick movie.
Yes.
They're not going to go too deep into it, but to bring up, the idea that his wife was in an internment camp, and probably died in childbirth because of poor care.
Yeah.
And he was serving in one of the Nisei regiments. I think it was the 442nd Regiment, World War II.
Yeah.
So he's somebody who put in his time and kind of got screwed by the country that he served, and yet he's still, he got a lot of cars, so something went right, but that's all it's really only presented in one scene, but they didn't have to do it.
No.
And this idea of an older mentor and a younger student is nothing new to American cinema, but
no.
Yeah, it's just it's so strong and it's done so well, and it's one of those things that's just it's like Miyagi says in the movie. Didn't he say this in the movie?
What?
Or am I thinking of something else? Oh no, I'm thinking of Rambo.
Oh, you're thinking of Rambo?
Yeah.
That's okay. We just watched Rambo recently too.
Well, so. I was gonna say that it's the whole thing about a sculptor and he carves a tiger out of a block of marble, and they go, how do you carve the tiger so well? And he's like, the tiger's in the marble. I just took the parts away that were covering up the tiger.
Right.
That's this Karate Kid dynamic went on to be. It's now a thing.
Yeah.
And it's in so many other things, and there are so many other Karate Kid movies too. That it just, it hit some chord. It just, maybe it beat people in submission for 2 hours and 7 minutes. It's probably too long.
I think,
but I don't know what I'd cut out. But it's probably too long. In fact, I think we both agree that the tournament at the end is not long enough.
Yeah,
the tournament's last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's we're building up to this whole thing.
Yes.
It's bam, 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 bam. Oh, you did it. You're the best around.
Right. I know.
Which, by the way, is a song that was originally... Everybody thinks of Eye of the Tiger as being the Rocky song. Eye of the Tiger didn't show up until, I think, Rocky 3. Oh. And You're the Best was originally written for Rocky 3, but Stallone's I don't like it. And so they got Eye of the Tiger instead. So that song was originally written for Rocky.
And they put it in Karate Kid instead.
Yeah, but this is a very... Oh, guys, now that I think about it, I take all the Tiger stuff back, because this is just Rocky for karate.
Yeah.
Screw this movie.
Whoa. We also compared it to... which Van Damme movie was it? Was it
Bloodsport?
Bloodsport
Came after.
Yes.
Bloodsport is just an adult Karate Kid movie.
It is. Yeah. I agree with you.
Because they both... kind of know karate already.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because Daniel took
trained.
YMCA classes.
Yeah.
So he understands basic principles of karate. And I don't remember the character's name in Bloodsport, but he was an aerobics and a Taibo teacher or whatever. And then he comes over and has to learn real karate.
Yes.
Or Muay Thai, excuse me.
Yes, Muay Thai. Yeah. And there's a girl in both stories. Although
there's a girl.
Nobody gets raped in Karate Kid.
Yeah, well, nobody had to say that either.
Goodness,
but
sorry. Well, I think going back to Karate Kid, and I think this is implied. But he was gonna have a son, but his kid died in childbirth. So Daniel's son is kind of he's kind of like his kid. He's passing on karate, which he learned from his dad, to this young boy.
Yeah.
And, he's very proud of him. And of course, he wins the tournament in the end, and it's really great.
Somehow.
We
don't know how many points.
He hurt his leg
there are.
Really bad. Yeah, I know, right? And we were saying, might be good to have
So they both got 2 points, and then Johnny punches him in the face so that he wins, right? But no, that's
somehow not.
I guess that was an illegal hit.
Yeah.
But then Daniel kicks him in the face or punches him in the face later, but that's fine.
Punches him behind the head or something like that.
Yeah, this is probably the plot of Cobra Kai, right? The YouTube show.
Yeah,
which I'm never going to watch, but
right.
That follows Johnny as an adult, and so I can see him being it's total bull. I should have won the All Valley Karate Tournament.
Right,
it's bullshit.
like, even though, like, at the end, he's like, he does a total flip and is like, you're the greatest, man. What?
Right.
Which is, like, I think the most unrealistic part about the film, if you ask me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the, I guess Top Gun came after this, too, but that's the Top Gun, you can ride my tail anytime.
Or right. I mean, it makes sense, and we've talked about this, too.
No,
like,
you can ride mine.
Right. Like, the movie just kind of ends very abruptly after the tournament. I mean, what else would you do?
Save it for the sequel.
Right,
Save
exactly.
it for the sequel.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, would you recommend it?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was fun. And it was fun watching him learn karate, and he didn't know he was learning it, you know, and that scene where Mr. Miyagi is, like, basically testing him on the moves and like throwing punches and kicks his way, and he's blocking them. That's pretty cool.
It's like the I'm Your Father, Luke. It's a thing that, like, once you see it, it doesn't really hit the same. But I remember when I saw Karate Kid, that blew me away. I was like, he was learning karate the whole time. And if you go back and you watch any Shaw Brothers film or any Jackie Chan film, you know, from the 70s, it's the same thing. It's like he makes Jackie Chan chop wood or do sit-ups or whatever, or fill a water bucket. And that's the training. So
okay, all right. Yeah. So it was definitely.
But I was like, he was doing. I gotta go paint some fences. I gotta get my strength up. Maybe I'll get a car.
Right.
And Elizabeth's shoe.
You gotta balance on a rowboat.
Practice that soccer ball thing. Got that going, too. Yeah. Well, are you ready for that whiplash we were talking about?
Yes.
All right. The film that I chose to watch for COVideos was Sullivan's Travels.
Yes.
A 1941 comedy film written and directed by Preston Sturges. Mm-hmm. A guy who was huge in, like, the the 20s maybe, but definitely the 30s and into the 40s, and then kind of, like, disappeared. Like, he made a bunch of really successful movies dealing with, you know, comedy but also drama, and made Sullivan's Travels, which, of course, I think at the time people liked, but there are other films that he had done that I think people would say were stronger or more memorable.
Okay, like what?
The Lady Eve, probably.
I feel like I've heard of that before.
Yeah. And now I'm trying to think of some other ones too.
Okay. Sorry, I asked you a tough question.
Well, that's okay. I look, 85-year-old movies. I got a whole list of them in my head. Don't worry about it. But anyway, this is a film about a movie director who is making, and he wants to be like a serious director. I get the idea in the film that he has made like a bunch of kind of screwball comedies, but he really wants to like reach out and touch people with his, like, you know, agitprop like films, and like the film opens. You're like, oh, it's a comedy, and it opens with two guys trying to murder each other on top of a train. Yeah, and we find out that we're watching a screening of his latest film, and the producers hate it, and he's like, don't you understand? This man is capital, and this man is, the workers of the world or whatever. His communism, and they're fighting, and they're going to destroy each other.
Right.
I'm trying to get that out there.
Yeah.
And they're like, nobody cares. What are you talking about?
Right.
And so he decides that his next film is going to be an adaptation of a book called "O Brother, Where Art Thou?" Which is, I'm just guessing, it sounds like a Grapes of Wrath-esque. So I don't think it's a real book.
Okay.
It obviously went on to inspire the Coen brothers, "O Brother, Where Art Thou?" which is their gloss on Preston Sturges. That's what they're doing.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
But I mean, I think a lot of their output is very Preston Sturges, not just "O Brother, Where Art Thou?" And so he wants to make this, you know, it's about the plight of the American worker. And remember, this is all before, like, this movie like screened like the day before like Pearl Harbor happened. I don't think it released until later in the month, but like it was screened for critics, you know, around or maybe just after Pearl Harbor, and
which is crazy.
Which kind of hurt its reputation, because a lot of people are like, "Who cares? It's not time for this now. This is you releasing the Master of Disguise, you know, 2 weeks after 9/11 happens. Like nobody wants Turtle right now,
right?"
Listen to me. Listen to me. You listen to me, Mr. Carvey. No one wants your turtle. We're at war. So he decides that he's going to go to the costume department and get a tramp costume. Yeah. And he's going to just ride the rails and sojourn across this land of ours, Woody Guthrie style.
Right.
And, learn about the working man.
Right.
And
he's never had it tough.
And he's never had a job. And so the film is about his efforts to do that, which are constantly sort of stymied in a funny way. He keeps ending up back where he started and we're going to do it this time. And they start off again. And I won't even say that much more because you don't have to say a lot to get what the movie's about. But the movie, I think, will surprise you as you watch it because it will land on a theme of it is important to make movies that entertain people and doesn't just teach them things.
Yeah, absolutely.
That being said, I love being taught things by films, and I'm afraid that the film comes down a little too easy on just make people laugh. You're gonna come after. Watch Click. You're going to come after Adam Sandler? He's just trying to make people laugh.
Right.
It doesn't ask at all whether the films that he's going to make now that he's inspired to make comedic films are going to be good films or not. Or they'll just be, the Ludicrous Six or whatever. Whatever the last shitty Adam Sandler Netflix film was.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, but you're right. And it doesn't really hold them accountable. And you get the impression that the producers have both painstakingly read "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" and are now really upset that he's decided he's not going to do it because there was all this publicity that he was going to do it. And so they were unhappy in the beginning because he wanted to do something serious. Now they're unhappy because he wants to do a comedy. He can't win as far as that goes. But, the guy has a pretty good life. All things considered, and but he does get himself into some screwball situations, and a lot of them are quite funny. And of course he meets Veronica Lake's character, who is just simply the girl.
Yeah. Listen.
What?
The whole first of all, I should hate this movie.
Whoa.
Because and Hollywood should have loved it because it's about Hollywood.
Right. I know what you mean.
When Hollywood gets a chance to put its head between its legs and S its own D, those movies are usually really well received, but they're usually very myopic because Hollywood cannot criticize itself.
True.
That's why it takes, it wasn't an accident, it takes someone like Robert Altman to make a movie like The Player because he's been sitting outside of the thing for the entire time, shaking his head, and now he's ready to make a Hollywood satire that begins with Buck Henry going in and pitching The Graduate 2.
Right.
It's just so, whether or not Preston Churches is really qualified to make this criticism, I don't know. But it's a film that, is kind of criticizing the system that's in place. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so because it is dealing with the idea of what you need, remember, this is I don't think meta? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that had been invented just yet.
Right.
But it is trying to make a meta-commentary on picture making, and that's why it opens at the end of another movie. And then, you've got the girl in a movie like this.
Right.
She is, and sorry, Nathan Rabin, I know you hate it, but you came up with something that works. She is the manic pixie dream girl, sort of in this situation.
She is.
And so, it'd be cool if she had a name. But I think that she is positioned as the girl that you find in these movies. When a rich and privileged white guy goes off on a journey of self-discovery to Elizabethtown or wherever it is,
right,
you find the girl, right?
Yeah.
So I think he didn't waste any brain sweat on giving her a name because she's literally the girl.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, when everything is at its worst, Sullivan's like, this movie really needs a plot twist. And then he comes up with a plot twist that changes the entire movie all around. Now, he doesn't look into the camera when he says it, but that's basically the screenwriter, Sturges, going watch this. I'm going to change the whole movie now because I'm going to come up with a plot twist.
I know. And what a plot twist it is, too.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it just like I think I turned to you and was like, well, that's not funny. Yeah, like there are some really great sequences in this. I think very early on, I think it's the first time he sets out to do this journey.
Yeah,
and his crew, he has all these people that work for him, or work for the studio, and therefore work for him.
Yeah,
and they basically have decided they're going to follow him in a bus.
They call it the land yacht.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a luxury bus cruiser or what have you.
Yeah.
And he wants nothing more but to lose them. So there's this character that comes speeding along in a car, and I think it's supposed to be a young woman, right? Like
I think it's a boy.
Is it a boy?
I think it's a boy.
All right. Anyways,
I could be wrong.
Okay.
There'd be no way to find out.
No, I know. So there's a character that comes speeding along in the car, and they're like, "You want to ride? Hop in!" And like, they're like, "I can like, I go really fast." And he looks over at the speedometer, and it's just written in chalk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great moment. And then, like, they just go zipping along so much so...
And it's all sped up,
yes.
Or it's over or undercranked.
Yes. And, like, the bus is speeding after them, and everybody is,
cutting back to everybody in the bus who's just, like a rock polisher. They're just going around, tumbling all over each other. And the guy, the cook is like...
I know.
He's, spills the thing, and then he hits his head in the refrigerator, and then the eggs fall on him, and then he's, like, upside down in the sink, and, yeah, it's...
It just progressively gets worse for all of them, but I think the cook gets it the worst. Yeah. And, like, at one point... they hit something and his head pops out of the roof.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, and they're speeding along so fast that a cop is like, "Oh, I'm gonna go after him," and then he gets like mud in his face because they sped by him, and like, yeah. So that's a pretty great sequence.
Yeah, it's it shouldn't work because it absolutely wants to do everything. If this was an adaptation situation, right? Mm-hmm. This is both movies. This is both Charlie Kaufman and Donald Kaufman's movie all together in one. Like, it shouldn't work.
Right.
Because it goes from having a cook's head bust through the brushed aluminum of the roof of the land yacht to a bunch of prisoners in chains marching row by row into a black church in the middle of Slaughter Swamp, Louisiana. Where are they?
Yeah, I know, right?
And watching a Goofy movie and losing their shit.
I know.
There was no way to just have people go, "This is great." Back then, was there?
No.
It's like the guys in it's like Shawshank Redemption, right? They're watching Gilda, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're all pretty happy. And then she flips her hair, and they all kind of go, "Woo!" They're all excited about it,
right?
But mostly it's just Morgan Freeman with a half chub, just being like, I love this. This is great. This is way better than being in prison,
right?"
But no, when we watch the Pluto cartoon, everybody has to be like literally shitting themselves, so we know. Oh, they're happy.
I know.
They're like.
I mean, and it's like they go to all the reactions of the prisoners and then also the parishioners of the church.
Yeah, everybody's loving it.
Everybody has a similar ridiculous reaction.
Everybody loves it.
Yeah. And I mean, there were parts of it. It's like, yeah, okay, it's flypaper, it's Pluto.
You can't rate a Disney cartoon from the 30s.
No, I know, but like parts of it, it's like, okay, yeah, it's funny.
He wanted
not
to do
laughing hysterical.
I don't remember the way it was presented. Like if it was shot, like if you just see the screen, if it was practically being projected, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because he wanted Chaplin.
Oh, really?
And Chaplin said no.
Ah!
I don't know why.
Really?
Well, he's a competitor. Chaplin was he's a competitive guy, so maybe he was just like, no, I don't want to put my stuff in your movie. Forget it. And so they did a Disney anyway.
Which I think you were like, it must not have been cheap because this was not a Disney produced film.
No, of course not.
So yeah, but they definitely wanted something recognizable.
Yeah.
Which is completely understandable. So
it's fine. But he wanted to do Chaplin, and he kind of ends up homaging Chaplin a little bit in Veronica Lake's tramp costume.
Oh, yeah.
She's basically, she's just kind of the tramp. She's got the little hat and she's got the big pants. And,
yes, absolutely.
She's pretty great in this.
She is. She's very funny. I mean, she's gorgeous, but she's actually really funny.
She's like, it's okay, I think, for Sullivan to be not. He's a director and not a movie star, but the movie star playing him needs to be more of a movie star. I know Joel McCrea was in like a ton of things as well, but she's like running circles around him, and like he's not really giving her much back. I don't.
Well,
think.
She's super charismatic, like super. Like, even, like, gosh, I mean, I know the lighting was just right. He meets her at the cafe in Hollywood. But, like, I mean, she's a down-on-her-luck actress. But, man, you could never tell that by looking at her. Her hair is, like, perfectly coiffed. She's got, like, this
She's like in an evening gown or something.
On.
Yeah,
I know. But they locked her out of her apartment or whatever, and we never really
she
find
was just
out
lounging
why.
around in an evening gown.
Exactly.
Well, they couldn't have put her in jeans because she was 5 to 6 months pregnant shooting this entire film.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
She got hired, and she was like 19 or 20, I think, when this movie was shot. But she got pregnant, and I think she told Edith Head was the costumer, so she told Edith Head, and I think maybe she might have told the director's wife or something like that, but she didn't tell anybody until they had to start showing up, on set. And Sturgis was mad. Like, he was understandably mad, but they made a lot of it work just by she wears these big dresses and the bathrobe, thing, and then the baggy pants and stuff like that. So you can't ever tell. But
well, I was wondering, like, so they fall in the pool at his place. And he has a woman's bathrobe, and he has, like, this hairbrush. Mm-hmm. Is that left over from when his wife used to live there?
Possibly.
Or does he just have women's clothes on hand because he's a wealthy guy?
He is a gentleman about town.
Yeah.
Who is well-to-do.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, you have to. It's just courteous.
Oh, all right.
But, yeah, he's got a wife.
Yeah, I know. But I don't think she lives with him. At least she hasn't for a really long time.
No.
If she ever did. And we get it was never romantic with them. So.
This movie was actually refused by the Office of Censorship for distribution overseas.
Really? Why?
Because it was a very sensitive time, being the advent of our participation in World War II.
Okay.
And they didn't like the scenes showing the chain gangs in the poor church. They thought they didn't want people to think outside of America for propaganda purposes. They didn't want people to think that we did this to our prisoners, or that there were people who were as poor and abject as these people. Now, of course there were, but we didn't want anybody to think that.
Well, that's really silly.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to treat our prisoners?
Just
a question. I mean, maybe
putting
not,
them in the box. I don't think that helps anything.
No, true.
Having them dig a river. What were they doing?
I'm not sure. It's unclear. Yeah. And the guy who's in charge of that is not the nicest guy. I guess he could be worse, but the guy who helps him, he's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So as much as you can be to prisoners. So yeah. But he has some unfortunate things happen to him after he thinks he's done with his journey of unfortunate things.
And it's funny that, because if this was, there are a lot of movies like this. Overboard comes to mind, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Goldie Hawn falls off a boat. And I
think I first saw that on TV.
I haven't seen Overboard in a long time.
Oh, man.
But I don't know at what point it comes, but I'm assuming relatively early that she falls off the boat, right?
Yes.
And then that's end of the first act.
Yeah.
He doesn't get his real hard look at life until the end of the second act.
Yes.
The beginning of the third.
Yes.
It's normal. Any other movie would be maybe you do one or two abortive things. He meets Veronica Lake. They set off. They end up back at his apartment or whatever, eating toast. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, "No, I'm really going to do it." And then he gets hit over the head or something like that. And then the second act is he's learning about. He runs into Tom Joad, and he's learning about the working man or whatever.
Right.
But instead, they cram it all into the last 15 minutes.
I know. And it's just like you said, it takes this real turn. And it's It's unexpected,
Yeah.
I think, too. And
especially when he, he's sort of he did kind of make the rounds.
He did
in the second act. So you figure like, okay, I think he understands now.
Yeah.
And then like, whoa, no, you're gonna get a real big education here.
Yeah, right. And then his conclusion at the end of it is like, people need to laugh.
Yeah, that's why. So 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Everybody likes this movie. Mm-hmm. Nobody does not like this movie.
Yeah.
But the best takeaway, it's the best argument ever for rich white liberals to just stay out of politics and stay out of helping. Yeah. No carpetbaggers, please.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like, if he had done nothing, everything would be fine.
Right.
And a rail yard bull would have all his teeth still.
Right.
Yeah. Like, nothing changes.
I know.
Except a cook has a pretty good lawsuit against the people that made that land yacht. It's like him being involved does nothing. We all hate the movie where the white guy, they're usually Tom Cruise movies, the white guy comes in and it's like, whoa, he's Xing better than anyone's ever X'd before.
Like The Last Samurai.
Samurai.
Yeah.
Indians or whatever, whatever it is, Top Gunning, whatever it is.
Right.
And he does. Sullivan does not do that. Sullivan cannot survive in this world.
No,
and then just leaves it and goes, tramp. I'm never going back there. Right. And I love my solid gold fittings, and also I'll just make funny movies from now on so poor people can laugh. Yeah. It's like, what kind of message is that?
And then it just kind of ends.
Yeah.
So
He's never going to make Oh Brother Where Art, though.
I know. Not just like, now is not the time for it. Maybe I'll get back to it later.
Well, I don't think he's never not going to make serious movies.
Yeah.
But since there is no Sullivan's Travels 2, Travel Boogaloo,
right,
we don't ever see him return to serious pictures or make films now with a broader sensibility or a broader concept of what people need when they need it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Did anybody ask me if I needed Parasite? No. It just made it. And now we got I don't know.
Yeah, I enjoyed it though. I thought, it was a really genuinely funny film. It could have just it had like cartoon moments, but they were genuinely funny.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was forced, and I thought the performances were great.
Yeah, and it's 1941. It's still, it's early. Like, Jimmy Stewart is still doing, romantic comedies or whatever. Well, no, I guess he's moving into like Frank Capra stuff at this point. But, I was impressed at the way it was shot because it could have been just very static, and there's a lot of interesting angles and a lot of interesting moves and it's just a very kinetic picture, which serves to heighten the live action cartoon segments of it. But the montage, the Skid Row montage, there's a lot of interesting things happening there, and it's very affecting, and the music's great. And it's a great movie. But now with my more critical head on, it's the first time I've seen it where I've really thought about, what is it actually saying? I don't know if I like what it's saying.
I don't think it's saying as much as...
I don't even know if it knows what it's saying.
No, I don't
And
know.
it's something that it's a victim of history because its
of when it
lessons
came out.
are almost immediately worthless.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And because of what happened in World War II and what happened in World War II, just like economic boom and the expansion of the military-industrial complex, I'd like to see that movie that we see at the end of the film. I wonder, that's probably pretty good, where capitalism is fighting communism. But no, I'm just saying, like, I think the whatever lesson it had is completely invalidated, or maybe not. Who knows? But we'll never know now because the world is totally different and is not going to go back to the way it was. So I don't know.
Right.
If I could have been in... It premiered, I guess, in Portugal on December 5th, 1941. Right. So 2 days before Pearl Harbor. So if I spoke Portuguese and I was able to just sit down in the theater on December 5th, maybe I would have just loved the movie. But now it always just seems a little bit haunted to me.
Yeah. And there's nothing you can really do about it. If there are certain moments that just kind of change the course of history, and Pearl Harbor is definitely one of those. So, and there's no way you could have predicted that. So it's just kind of ill-timed, which is it's too bad. It's too bad. But I do think it is a lot of fun, and I'm glad it has 100%. It's kind of amazing considering when it did come out. But I guess people always need to laugh, so
turtle. Well, I think that's probably it for our first episode of COVideos.
Yes.
So hopefully we entertained you some. Do you have opinions about these films? Let us know. Find us out on Facebook and Twitter and social media. Come on, glasses, get out of my way. At Just Enough Trope, all one word, on your social medias, and let us know what you think. She has a list, but I don't. So actually, the list isn't carved into cuneiform tablets or whatever, so maybe a suggestion could add something to the list.
Yeah.
Or maybe a suggestion could jog my free association to go in a particular direction. So if there's a certain movie or something that you want to hear about, that's a possibility, and you should let us know on those social medias. In the meantime, check out all of the shows on the Just Enough Trope Network at justenoughtrope.com or at justenoughtrope on Twitter. We've got shows about pretty much every element of pop culture you can imagine. Like, what do you think?
Like comic books.
I want to do a video game show, but I need an angle.
Oh, you need an angle?
Yeah.
Video games you've played? I don't know.
No, that's every other fat guy's show. This fat guy needs his own angle.
I don't have an idea for you right now.
Well, I bet people would if they found us at Just Enough Trope on social media. We'll be back probably sooner than you think with another episode of COVideos because, of course, we're trapped just like you.
Yes.
But when life gives you COVID, you make COVade.
Whoa.
No. Life gives you Corona, you drink some Coronas. Except you can't. Because the Corona has stopped shipping or bottling or whatever they do.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure a lot of beers have, but we've been waiting, the people who at AAP or whatever write the stories are just like, is it done?
Oh
Hit send on a story that was written weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, but we will be back soon to entertain you in this trying time, but we can spare an egg and even more in this trying time for you. So tune in next time, and we'll be back then. Until then, I don't have a cool sign-off yet.
I'm Megan Hanna.
Well, I'm Caliban.
Yeah.
What's the sign-off?
Stay,
2 seconds.
Social distancing.
She's not.
I'm not.
She's not our branding czar.
I'm not good.
We'll see you next time.